And welcome to another edition of BCSN Sports Flash. Greg Franke here, and we're going to be talking with one of the outstanding tennis players in Northwest Ohio, Alicia Nahhas from Notre Dame, who qualified for the state tournament this year and won a match over there and did extremely well and played in doubles several years before that. Now, we did sort of a mini run through of this at the district tournament, but this is the real thing. We got you in the studio under the lights and everything like that. So this is for real here today. But we talked to you last at the district tournament, and you played extremely well there and qualified for the states. You got to states, as I said, you won a match and ended up going out in the second round. But all the players there are so good that anything can happen at any given time. How did you feel about your performance at states this year?
I was happy with how I played. It's always fun being able to play on the last day of the season where some other people are there to support me and have all my family there. And overall, it was just a good experience, and I was happy to be there. So.
Now, you'd played, was it 2 times before that in doubles with Tegan McNamara? 3 times. So basically every year that you were in high school, you played there. But now it's for the first time you were a singles player instead of a doubles player, and you were a singles player all during the season. Is that a difficult transition to make where you're playing one thing all year and then you switch to the other, or for the first time you're playing something in states when you played something else before?
Yeah, it was definitely a big change because in my other seasons I always had that to look forward to and know I was going to play doubles. And then this year I just had that change in mentality where I was just like, oh, I'm going to be by myself this year and, you know, it's all going to be on me. But it was still fun and it was hard sometimes, but I was happy that I was able to do that one more year.
So I ask a lot of players that play both, what do you prefer, doubles or singles? And some that prefer the doubles, they like the idea that the pressure's not all on them. They've got a partner that can help take them off the hook if necessary, and there's that team camaraderie element. And then some people just kind of like to have it be on them. Where do you fall in that spectrum? Yeah,
that's me. I'm more of a team player, so I like having someone else there to just reassure me and tell me, oh, it's fine, or have someone else to take the high pressure points and stuff. So I don't know.
Or sometimes you can take it to take the pressure off them, right?
It's easier to be with someone.
Yeah. So was that one of the more difficult things? We were talking about it a little bit, but when you were playing singles now for the first time against these great players at the state tournament, and you get these tough situations, was that hard to? Was that one of the more difficult aspects of playing singles for the first time?
Yeah, it was more difficult, but I was happy that I was well prepared from the rest of my season, playing a lot of tough matches in this season and all my other seasons. So it wasn't anything new, but it's definitely just something you have to get through and learn how to deal with. So.
Right. So in those years that you were playing doubles with Tegan McNamara, who is an outstanding player for Notre Dame as well, and I thought you two guys had a really good chemistry because she was the type of player, it was like playing against the wall. She would just get everything back. I saw many matches where she would frustrate her opponent because no matter what they did, she just kept keeping the ball in play. And then you were more of a power player like that too. So I thought your styles complemented each other really well. Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, that was definitely a fun part about it. It was that I would just be smacking the ball as hard as I could and hoping that Tegan could get up on the net and just put the ball away, and that's always how we worked well together. So I was happy to have that difference in play style. So
we had another Notre Dame athlete in, you probably know her too, Maddie Parks from the soccer team, and she had a situation where she played soccer growing up and then tried volleyball for a couple of years and got very adept at that, but decided to come back to play soccer, and it was sort of like, you know, she felt a little like I don't want to necessarily take another person's place on the team, but everybody was so welcoming, she said, and that was the way it was at Notre Dame, is that if she could help the team, then everybody wanted her to be there. And you had sort of a similar situation too. You were good friends with Tegan McNamara, and you were doubles partners and just had great chemistry and really good friends, and yet you had to compete against her for the #1 position, and at times she had it, and at times you had it. Was that difficult?
Yeah, it was difficult, but I think it worked out well because we always made sure to keep our tennis separate from our friendship. And, you know, when it's time to compete, it was time to compete. And then when it was time to be all, like, best friends, then we had that time too. And it was just something that we both knew was going to have to happen eventually, but it was still, like, fun because we were able to motivate each other.
Well, a lot of athletes, I think they have a hard time drawing that line.
Right.
And I thought it was a great thing when Maddie talked about that with the soccer team, and I always thought it was a great thing with the way you two could be such good friends in spite of competing against each other, and I think that's one of the reasons you probably did so well when you did play together.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. So what about your future plans? You're definitely wanting to go on and play collegiate tennis, and you've been looking at some schools, and you want to major in biology, so you'll have a lot on your plate when you move on to college.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure whether or not I wanted to play, but now I for sure know that I do. I don't think I'm really leaning towards the Division I route, but I'm hoping to play for a D2, D3 school and keep my studies important on top of tennis and just remember to have fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm sure you have the capabilities of playing Division I, but you have to really, it's a balancing act when you get to college, because the commitment level for Division I athletics it's more than a full-time job all in itself, and you definitely want to balance that, and academics is always the most important thing. What got you interested in pursuing biology? You're telling me your father's a doctor, and you kind of saw the way he did his work, and did that help to influence you to decide you want to go into a science-related field like that?
Yeah, when I would visit my dad at the hospital and just see how everyone was working together, and just see how happy the patients were to see him all the time, it just made me think that I would want to work in an environment like that. And in school, I've always been really interested in science, and I don't know. What
about some of the other things you did at Notre Dame? You told me you were the Pep Rally Leader. What did that entail, and how did you get that exalted position?
Well, all my friends were telling me that I should go for it just because I'm always really loud, and I'm at the game anyway, so why not just go for it? And I'm so happy that I did, because it's just so fun being in front of all the other students in the gym and everything. So
what did you do to did you get them to cheer in unison or something, or just keep everybody's spirits up? What did the job really entail during the games?
Yeah, we just start cheers, and no matter what the score is, we're always just rooting on for our own team, and being respectful to the other teams, obviously, but remembering to keep our spirits up and be really loud.
Well, I noticed there was always a fine spirit at all the Notre Dame events, so you obviously did a good job there. You weren't able to do that during tennis, of course, but that's more of a quiet game anyway.
Yeah.
But and before we go, one final, we have to have a shout out to your friend Luca, who I really wish he could have been here for this interview today. But he was one of your biggest supporters, if not the biggest supporter at your matches, wasn't he?
That's true. Shout out to Luca.
Now, who is Luca?
Luca is my dog. I don't know, he's a puppy, and he was at probably every match that we played, and hopefully he will be next year too.
I could imagine that if you're in a tight situation, you could look over and see the dog there. It would relax you a little bit. Did that ever happen?
Yeah, there'd be some little girl playing with him, and I'd see her just being dragged on his leash or something, and relax me during my match. So.
Yeah. Well, so there it is. Not only was he a big fan, but he helped you get to where you were. So that's great. Yeah. Well, it's I don't know why you thought that you're not really adept at these interviews, because you did an outstanding job.
Thank you.
And appreciate your coming in, and we'll look forward to following you in your collegiate career, and hopefully you can come back and see us again.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. And that is Alicia Nahhas, outstanding senior tennis player from Notre Dame Academy. Greg Franke for BCSN Sports Flash.